What's up, guys? It's Dave Duncan back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. And for this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from UK hardcore sludge band Allfather.
Would never have picked the UK.
Oh, really?
Years. Yeah, I was well off the mark. I thought America.
All right, okay.
I was in the US of A. Turns out it was actually just the UK.
Yep. The band's new album, A Violent Truth, will be released on March 31st via Trepanation Recordings. Born from desperation and forged in rage, Allfather's forthcoming album, A Violent Truth, draws on 40 years of heavy metal and hardcore punk to deliver their most incendiary and ambitious release to date. Written and recorded across 2 years of global pandemics, increasing oppression, and the slow creep of contemporary fascism, A Violent Truth captures and distills the pent-up fear, anger, and exhaustion of living in desperate and seemingly hopeless times. It's also the sound of our four friends celebrating their love of death, sludge, thrash, and black metal, and the dopamine hit of breakdown heavy hardcore.
Yeah, someone needs to put that in a capsule and sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, the sensation you get when you hear something like that, like a breakdown section, you're just like, oh, I want that. I want that in a can. Right? A Yankee candle. Spark up the breakdown Yankee candle where you smell it, you just go, oh. Like that. That's what I want.
There's maybe a market out there for that, Duncan. I'm not saying that should be our next venture, but
it's just going to be you recording like a fucking a tower of candles, unsold candles behind you. Anyway, Allfather.
This is album number 3, which was recorded by Jason Fry and ABC. Then, get this, Duncan. Mixed and mastered by Scott Middleton, previously of the Cancer Bats.
What? Well, he did say he was leaving the band to go and do this shit. So that makes it. It's good to know that he actually lived up to that and it wasn't just like an excuse like what I use when I don't want to do things with my friends. I'm like, I'm really busy. I'm building a house, and then there's no house, Dave. So, I mean, there we go. It makes sense as well. There's a sprinkling of the sludgy Cancer Bats about this. Suso of it over the top.
This is it's classed as an album, but it is 6 tracks. Clocks in at around 27-ish minutes.
Yeah.
So, I suppose you can class it as an album.
I mean, at this point,
I know, who knows?
Time is a flat circle. I mean, I might as well. If the band calls it an album, it's an album. Call it an EP, we'll call it an EP.
Yeah. Technically, it's longer than the next review that we're doing, the next album review, which is classed as an album. So,
which is also an album. Yeah. Has infinitely more songs, but it's like about 7 minutes shorter. So.
Yes. So I've been following these guys on Twitter, and I think they posted a recording of
following or stalking. Just to quantify.
I mean,
the guys, just so they know,
both sides of the pond, I suppose.
Potato.
They posted a recording of some live footage, and you know, it was just like someone with a phone in the crowd of one of their shows, so it wasn't like the greatest of quality. But when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, I'm in, lads! Hello there."
Can you spell restraining order? I can. I've got 6.
I love this like type of like this kind of like pissed off sludge bands in that kind of like Arm for Apocalypse type pull, High on Fire, Iron Monkey, 16 even as well that we reviewed last year. Bands of that ilk. Yep. And Allfather, they fall somewhere in amongst all that. but not in a way that they'd get lost or overlooked, because I think these guys have their own interesting mix of stuff going on here. It's hardcore and sludge mainly, but they also swing in with a bit of thrash, a bit of doom, a little bit of death in there as well, a wee smidge of the old black metal, and a bit of groove, which is what we like. But I feel like the switch ups and style feel very comfortable for the band. Like at no point did I feel like the changes into each style feel like clumsy or misplaced. They've clearly been doing this for a while, to get it to that level where you can hear on this release that those transitions, they feel smoother on this release than they did even on the last one. So you can hear I could hear an improvement from the last album to this one straight away. I also think this album sounds more straight to the point than their 2018 album. It's a little bit shorter, so it doesn't like fuck around. It doesn't drag anything out at all here. There are little build-ups on the songs, but they don't last much longer than like 20 seconds before they get down to business. I actually think this release sounds the most like Allfather, if that makes sense. Like probably not, but the last release, I felt like it was easier to compare it to other bands. I don't feel that as much the case with A Violent Truth. On the last album, you'd be listening to it, you'd be like, oh, that sounds like a down riff, or that sounds like that's kind of Mastodon-esque in the guitar harmonies. I didn't feel like I was comparing this one as much, which was cool to hear, because I think they're now starting to sound even more kind of individual on this album. I think this is a release that feels more distinct, even in the way that each track has its own kind of personality, with a different rhythm or different tempo or different intensity. It just kind of allows you to separate them from each other, but they all still feel connected at the same time. I think one of the biggest improvements I've heard is vocally. I think this is the best thing that they've done so far. I think Tom, the vocalist, sounds probably the most confident that he's ever sounded. And regardless of the style, whether he's leaning into something really throaty or guttural, or into something with a bit more of a kind of blackened streak. The start of the Hunt Inferno sounds absolutely awesome. Like that black metal rasp is just like, oh Jesus. But then he just like seamlessly kind of switches into this kind of lower range growl, like it's absolutely fuck all. But that track also really highlights that they aren't a band that are just all about the riffs either. There's some really nice, well-placed lead work, and a soul that adds a real kind of nice streak of contrast as well. One of my favourite things about this, though, was the production. I think the production on this is the tits, ladies and gents. It is thick, it is corrosive, it's plenty of weight to it. It's not underproduced, that they're like anything, there's nothing getting buried in the mix or anything like that. Everything's really well balanced and audible. With this type of stuff, you often find that, especially the bass tends to get kind of lost in the rumble of the sludge guitars, but I think the frequencies of the bass on this are perfect. You can hear every note that's being played. It actually feels quite live to me, this album. Like they've maybe recorded it as a band and then added additions afterwards. It definitely has that feel to it, to me. I really enjoyed this. I think, as I said, it clocks in at just under half an hour, so I found this was an album really easy just to kind of go right through in one sitting, and just as easy just to hit that play button again when you get to the end. It's a bit of a no-brainer for me, this type of stuff. Like I do love that kind of blend of hardcore and sludge with the other little things kind of thrown in. But yeah, I thought these guys did a really good job, and I could hear that they have kind of evolved even more from the last album as well. So yeah, a really good job with this one. What about yourself? What did you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to say I'm a mark for this sort of music and have been forever. I mean, this Allfather to me are like what what would happen is someone put like a bowl of ice cream down in front of me and then come across with like hot butterscotch sauce and was like, "You want some?" And I'm like, "Yeah, two things I like together. I mean, it's obviously going to be amazing." And that's what A Violent Truth is, not like saccharine sweet by any stretch of the imagination, but like a multitude of flavors that I really like, all combined really well in an album.
Yeah.
The balance is great here. Like you say, they mix a lot in, but it's always in context of the song.
Yeah.
So the songs will take you in different parts of Hunt Inferno, bringing that kind of the savagery and intensity of black metal, but it's just that element. It's not that it's black metal riffs or, I mean, quasi black metal styled vocals, yes, but it's not adding an element in which sounds like that element. It's more they've extracted the essence of it and brought it in. And it's kind of what they do with everything. It's like the essence of death metal.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really bad fragrance, but the essence of, we're back to candles.
Yeah.
Essence of death
There we
metal.
go.
Like Yankee candles. Essence of sludge.
Wanky
essence
candles.
of, like, all those things come in and they meld really well together. The production, to me, you were mentioning like a kind of that savagery and all the rest, kind of really reminded me, and they have elements which like very much feel like Leviathan era Mastodon. Like, you know, it's got that when Mastodon were still a bit dangerous, you know, less like, you know, I mean, they're huge now. So, but like back then they were dangerous. Like the first time you listen to March of the Fire Ants, which is not Leviathan, I know it's not. But the first time you listen to a track, you were like, "Who the fuck are these guys?" Yeah, it's kind of like that. You get like sections in certain songs where a riff kicks in, you're just like, sounds fucking massive, like absolutely savage and absolutely massive. I think these guys are kind of like almost genius level songwriters. When you're listening to things like Black Lungs, for example, or Take Their Eyes, and specifically in that song where you get this huge melodic like guitar solo that just like comes out of nowhere and shouldn't work nearly as well as it does, but it sounds amazing. Vocally, the vocals can go from that kind of savage black metal, like guttural death metal, but it has the sludge mid-range with ease, which just takes you right through. But there's also that melodic level of tonal stuff that the vocalist can do, which just opens things out. The production we talked about, but yeah, like I can't stress that enough. It's very easy to forget that there are other musicians in the band, not the guitarists in this genre of music, but they're there. Like everything comes through clear, but it still has a bit of grime about it. You know, like this, when you listen to this, you kind of feel like if you put on a white glove and moved it across the top of your MP3 player and put your hand up, probably be pretty dirty.
Yes.
And I think that's what the band are aiming for, and they do it. They do it very, very well. There's a lot of intensity on this one as well, vocally. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that when you were reading because I don't read the press statement, sorry, Allfather, but I don't. So this is the first time I've ever listened to anything you've done. I thought you were American as well. Huge apology for that. But listen to this, like, you giving context to the themes around it, I get that. There's passion here. They mean what they're singing about. I think that holds up. Like, when you're against the backdrop of a lot of things that are... When you spent 2 years on lockdown writing an album and it does appear that the country's fucked, I think you, like, if you're a musician, if you're any sort of person worth their salt in the arts, lean into that uncomfortable nature, like almost hold a mirror up to how things are. And I think they do that really, really well. I can feel when they're pissed off. Yeah. All the way through this, it works very well for it. I think they're onto something here. I know you're saying 3 albums in. This album feels like really cool. You know what I mean? It kind of feels like a lot of like great elements, but handled in a really deft, almost kind of hairline could go one way or the other if done slightly wrong sort of way. And I think they've captured the essence of the different genres that are influence on them on this album. Yeah. It's a really satisfying, relatively short listen. You'd spin this and be done in under half an hour. And then it's very, very easy just to hit play again and go back through it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited. I've found another UK band Not that we need any more, but I found another UK band that gets me really excited that there's stuff out there that is just constantly pushing the genres out further. And Allfather have that. They have their own brand of what they're doing within the sludge. I mean, sludge and doom are at the core for sure. But all the kind of like kind of sprinkles of hardcore death and black metal just make it sound great. And then the last thing I'll say is I love the way this closes, because you come off the insane kind of black metal savagery of the Hunt Infernal into Cast Off the Cross, which is the longest track on the album and is just everything. It's just everything you've heard all the way through this in a nice, powerful closing track. This finishes, like if you were a gymnast at the Olympics and you do that fucking balance bar thing where you come off, like see when you land, you need to land with both feet touching the ground and obviously, not move, Dave. And if you move, guess what? Points coming off. Yeah. You land on one foot, points coming off. This album lands 2 feet square, no movement. If I had a sign that said like a score, I'd lift it up. But that's important because it's not long enough for you to give it the benefit of the doubt. This has to close strong, and Cast Off the Cross is a great closing song. Yeah. So yeah, I am. Turns out I'm an Allfather fan. Oh, didn't know I was.
Nice. Okay. So what would we score this new album from Allfather? Yeah, this kind of makes me excited again for the kind of UK kind of sludge scene, because every now and again we'll get another band that will drop in and be like, fuck yeah, this scene's fucking really. When we heard the last Mastiff album, like they're going on to bigger things, well, being signed up to big labels and stuff like that, and I think Allfather kind of fall into that as well.
They're if they're not like, they're like, to me, if you're a label right now or you're someone in A&R and you're looking to ride that wave, you keep your eyes on Allfather.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the tools are there, man.
Yeah, for sure. I would probably go 4 out of 5 on this one. I really enjoyed it. I think they've got all the tools they need, and I'm loving I just love the kind of the personality and the character that came through on this album. It's definitely, as I said, it's the most Allfather thing that they've done, where they sound the most original that they've ever been. And I'm loving all the little additional elements that came with this album as well. Really exciting. So I'm looking forward to going back to this as well. What about yourself? What are you thinking?
I'm right there with you. I've been spoiled this week. I literally have. I've listened everything I've listened to. I've kind of just had a great time with. And the not to spoil other videos, but we've listened to 4 completely different sounding bands, and all of them have been great examples of the genres that they're in. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. Nice.
So, the new Allfather album, A Violent Truth, that comes out on March 31st on Trepanation Recordings. Links below to the band, to the Bandcamp. Check them out, give them a listen, see what you think. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. That is the review. Thank you for checking it out. We're away to talk about candles, but we'll see you on the next one.
The death drop candle, we smell it and you go, oh! But can't wait, man.
Coming soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.